Should stream sniping be a bannable offense in Overwatch? It would not be the first game to mark the act of stream sniping as such, and to some, the reasoning behind it is fairly obvious, but to others, not so much. Today, I want to discuss the benefits and downsides to making stream sniping a bannable offense for Blizzard as an entity, but also talk about some of the ramifications that this could have for your average gamer. This is a subject that came to mind when I heard that an infamous stream sniper got banned because of a statement coming from popular streamer TimTheTatman. I was not entirely sure if I should bother dedicating a video to it, but now it's already 11:30 in the morning and I still have no idea what else I should talk about for today's upload. So without further ado, let's get right into it. To get us all on the same page, what exactly is stream sniping? Stream sniping refers to the act of joining the same match as a streamer by using their stream as a reference point. That simply means that putting streaming delay into account, they will queue at the same time to hopefully get into the same game, which works increasingly well the higher in rating you get, since less players are present in those ranks. Furthermore, stream snipers also often take advantage of additional information that they otherwise would not have access to. Enemy voice chat, team composition coming out of the gate, and a good idea of their exact position. Stream sniping, for all intents and purposes, is an inherently anti-competitive type of behavior, getting an unfair advantage over a team of 6 only because one of them happens to be a streamer. It's not fun being on the receiving end, whether you are the streamer or someone who got put into their team. But stream snipers don't always look to get a competitive advantage. Sometimes it's just for their own amusement, messing with the streamer to give them a harder time winning a match or just trying to ruin their time playing period. In some cases, stream snipers don't even try harder to win than they usually would, but go out of their way to take down the streamer specifically in an attempt to upset them. In that case, having that person be on your team might even be more of a hindrance than a benefit. The result is that stream sniping is a net loss for half, most, or all people involved who are not the one participating in this behavior. Given the way I lay this out, some of you might wonder, why is this even a question then? If it's obviously anti-competitive, unfair, and annoying, then why not make it a bannable offense? There are a number of problems with that. For one, proving that someone is actually stream sniping is not always all that easy unless the player admits to be doing it. Positional information can be acquired more easily if you have a really well-tuned headset, almost making it look like you're either sniping or cheating. In other cases, players who coincidentally get into matches with a streamer might want to mess with them just because they feel it's an opportune moment. It's still annoying for a team that's trying to win and a streamer that's trying to play the game, but as much as it might seem like they are sniping, they might just have their goal set to only attack that one player, which affects their overall gameplay without any additional unfair advantages. Furthermore, giving a streamer the power to indirectly ban people by claiming that they've been getting sniped even when no evidence is present is very dangerous. Not every streamer is necessarily bound by a perceived obligation for moral integrity, so you can't universally give them the opportunity to abuse that level of power. But let's assume that you would. What will be Blizzard's reasoning for doing so? You see, if a streamer is getting sniped to an extent that they can't possibly enjoy the game anymore, then chances are that they will eventually quit. Depending on the viewership that person attracts, that can be a pretty big issue. If you look at TimTheTatman, for example, he usually pulls in upwards of 10,000 people, which for a game that is usually hovering around 20k without any tournaments running is a massive amount. Not to mention the influence that online creators have on their audience. They can easily spread messages throughout the community, even if not intentional. If a streamer is constantly having a bad time, then they are more likely to have a negative attitude towards that game. The viewers might pick up on that behavior and perceive their own matches to be worse than they actually are as a result. It is a bit of a chain reaction in that regard. To many, stream sniping is perceived to be an obvious no-go, especially in the Twitch community. If those players are allowed to do as they please for a long time, then the overall image for that game in this community could potentially be damaged. It's made worse by the fact that the sniper in question was taking advantage of a bit of a loophole in the terms of service or general rule set for Overwatch. They were intentionally playing a hero that was a suboptimal pick to make sure that the streamer would have as much of a hard time winning as possible. However, in the report window it clearly states that reporting someone for their hero choice is not allowed, and you might even get actioned yourself if you do it anyway. The result, as many of you probably know, was a frustrated streamer that stopped playing the game entirely in response to not only his own misfortune, action, but also the fact that a fellow streamer has been actioned for having the audacity of reporting one such player. Obviously, we could talk about the fact that Emong has been sending reports of this player for a long time without any success, suggesting that the streamer in question needs to have a bigger audience to force this kind of reaction from Blizzard, which is obviously not something that many people are going to agree with. Many who know Emong and his stream would probably agree with me when I said that he is one of the most positive Overwatch players out there. To see him have to deal with that kind of nonsense, no less by someone stealing his name, is nothing short of frustrating, even as a viewer. The fact that it took Tim to step out of Overwatch and force a reaction from Blizzard just does not feel fair if you are a fan of Emong, Effect, or anyone else who had to suffer from excessive sniping and trolling. But this is where we get back to all the nonsense that we discussed earlier. Blizzard should not universally give streamers the power to indirectly ban people. Even if all of us could agree to, for example, Emong and Tim not being the kinds of people to ever abuse this kind of power, if you were to make it universally bannable, then we're dealing with an entirely different quantity of streamers. Not to mention that our judgment of those two is very subjective. Who is to decide who's trustworthy and who isn't? Who is gonna decide who gets to ban people and who doesn't? We're just opening a whole different can of worms. But reality is that from a PR standpoint, seeing more and more big streamers get targeted just is not gonna be great for your reputation. Because as we discussed earlier, if those big streamers are constantly facing the game with a negative attitude, that could very well spread within the community, and I'm pretty sure that they want to avoid that. At the end of the day, I'm against the idea of making stream sniping universally bannable, just because of all the complications that you would face with such a rule in place. However, I do believe that the community manager, or really anyone else, should offer themselves as a direct spokesperson to sizable streamers, and try to improve communication between the player base, content creators, and the developers or customer support of some kind. There are extreme cases that definitely should see the ban hammer drawn faster, and also obvious cases where players openly admit to stream sniping and purposefully throwing games, or those threatening content creators that they would make it their job to lose the game if they don't get a shoutout or some nonsense like that. Just some way to improve communication and speed up the process of investigation to get players like that out of our game. And I know that this is an issue that's largely a top 1% problem, as most popular streamers are playing up in Master and GM. But as a community, I feel like we should stick together on that one. Who knows, maybe one day you get to Masters yourself and you end up losing a bunch of matches because you have a streamer on your team who's getting sniped. And that's when you wish you would have supported this kind of movement sooner. But it's always easy for me to advocate for something like this as someone who plays in that rating himself, and I can definitely see how someone would not care because it doesn't affect them. At the end of the day, I just hope that I could get you guys to give this a second thought and maybe spark some discussion. Discussions which you are very free to hold down in the comment section below. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say about this, but until then, thank you everybody so much for watching. Don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you all next time.